Yo, welcome back to the channel, guys. Here I am playing more Dungeon Defenders, but this time I'm doing something a little bit different. And I want to list out like some tips for this game, like all the way from the beginning, like very first thing, creating heroes and stuff, all the way down to end game where you're playing like survivals to 100. So I'm gonna get started here with all the beginner stuff, and then we'll move into the intermediates, like advanced, and then all the way down to end game. I will leave some timestamps in the video so that you guys can check out what you need to. But so we're gonna start with the beginner stuff. So the very first thing you want to do is create at least 6 heroes, one for each of these slots. And the reason for that is they'll all be gaining experience. So playing with an empty deck, it just doesn't really make any sense. So I want to look at some of the heroes. So you'll have your first 4 beginning heroes here. These are the very basic ones, but they're almost mandatory. I would recommend creating one of each just to have. But these two right here, the monk and the huntress, are incredibly strong. You will want these as well as Evie here, and I'm going to explain why. The huntress has traps, right? And you will want her gas traps or poison traps to control maps with. It's a crowd control tower, right? And the monk here has ensnares, which provides the same thing. There are a couple of other ones that are really good in there, but we'll talk about the ensnare right now. That's really good for crowd controlling maps. And then Evie right here is your buff beams and reflect beams. She'll be buffing your towers and protecting them. Buff beams are just like, they're just mandatory in builds, so you definitely want these 3. The summoner is very strong as well, using crowd control again. And he's got some other very strong towers that are support. They're strong. Summoner's super cool, so I would recommend at least these 4 as a constant in your deck. But the rest is kind of up to you guys. Again, I would recommend creating all of them, but you can only have 2 more, right? If you take these 4. So play around with them a little bit and decide what you like, but they all have strong towers, except for this guy's DPS. A DPS hero is cool, but having 6 heroes for your building is pretty important in the later stages of the game. So if you can finish a build with 5 heroes and play a rogue, great, that's cool, but keeping 6 builders and constantly giving those 6 builders experience is an important thing, so just keep that in mind. Again, all of the heroes in this game have strong towers, so you can't really go wrong with any of them, especially in early game. So really just play with what you like, and you can switch them out later if you need to. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we can take a look at some of the towers for the heroes. Some of the strongest ones that you might want to keep an eye on would be like the harpoon tower. For the squire. For the apprentice, the DST is very strong. The lightning tower is also a very good one in the early game. I would say all of the towers are really strong, good for apprentice, but you can all play around with that one. For the huntress, use the gas traps, but we're looking for damage, right? So for the Eevee, actually, we've got a very strong one, the plasma defense system. This one, it becomes very strong in endgame for like speed running and stuff. Lots of people like this one for fast waves. Another one people like to use a lot is the owl perch. This tower is literally insane. It melts ogres. So if you're having a problem with ogres, maybe whip out a guardian and get yourself some owls. Let's check out the warden has a very strong tower. She has a couple of them, but specifically the beaming blossom does a very good job for like air lanes. So definitely keep an eye out for a warden if that's something you want to play with. The sledge launcher is really strong, but it is an expensive tower. So, but there you go. Those are some that you can check out. Okay, so the next thing I want to chat to you guys about is the auto loot filters. If you go into your options and you go into gameplay, there's an auto loot filter option here. You can look up some other videos. I've made some about how to create some of these filters, but very basically you can make one for each section, and it filters out and can pick stuff it can pick stuff up for you automatically without you needing to hand loot it. But in the very early game, it's not too important. And it's a little bit nice to run around and pick stuff off the ground anyways. So if you're more interested into that, there are other videos out there that explain how you can set these up, but they're not too hard to figure out. So definitely get those looked at and set up when you get into the little bit later game there. Another thing I want to talk about is the campaign pathing. So in the very beginning, you can play on easy, medium. I think you have access to hard as well. But so you need to go ahead and play through each map, but only the first 3 acts, and the encores are optional. But the first 3 acts, you want to clear these bosses. If you can, play it on hard if you are comfortable with doing that. But if not, then go ahead and do some on medium. Once you've gone through on hard, you'll have to break it up a notch into insane. And I say that the fastest way to do this is just play through the first 3 acts here. None of this stuff down here is optional. I would wait till endgame to break into these because it kind of wastes time, but I guess that's your choice. We've also got these 2 toggles here, hardcore and rifted. Hardcore, you can read it. It says respawning is disabled in combat phase, but it increases quality of dropped items. So if you're worried about dying, then don't toggle this. It's not very important in the beginning of the game, but becomes more important when you're looking for loot, right? Because you get better stuff. So it is mandatory later, but optional in the beginning. Rifted, you don't need to worry about in the beginning of the game, but you definitely should toggle this on by like Nightmare. And drop down to insane or something to find gear for it. But it is very fun. I love doing the rifted mode. Spices the game up and is considered endgame. So I think that is just about it for like the beginner stuff. Really quick though, we do want to talk about survival and mixed mode right here. So survival and mixed mode both go up to wave 25, but in survival you can continue into like an endless mode and push however many waves your heart desires. The difference here is the way that the enemies spawn, and in survival mode it's more like play crowd control and play walls, and stop them from getting to your crystal, because the way that they spawn is a little bit different. In mixed mode, you play offensive more like, instead of defenses as you would in survival. You play more offensive in mixed mode, where you'd use towers like the PDS and lightning towers or electric auras. You kill them, right? This is where you will speed run for loot. I think that the loot table is a little bit higher in mixed mode, so there you go for that. Survival is a little bit more laid back though. You can like AFK this pretty easily and get free loot doing that. So both are very good. I recommend playing both of them, but not until you hit Insane or Nightmare, because they're not very necessary for medium and hard. I think that's about it for my beginner stuff. I feel like I covered a lot. You can also talk about the spellbook. If you go down in the spellbook and look at your defenses, you can change your priorities. So that's something to consider. The strong priority shoots ogres and scales down to the weakest enemy. Fodder is the opposite, where it'll be shooting like goblins and stuff first. The special prio is, you don't really have to worry about that until Nightmare, but it will shoot jinns and sharkins and the spiders. And then the air prio is obviously goblin copters, which again are not until Nightmare. And then jinns are at the very top of the list, I know that. And then wyverns. So there you go with that. That's important to look at if you get into the later stuff. But again, it's not very important at the very beginning, but it's fun to play with anyway. Once again, yeah, dude, I think that's it for the beginner stuff. We're going to move on to intermediate stuff. Stuff like you've beat Insane and you're working in Nightmare. So at about this point, I would consider toggling the Rifted mode and start working towards getting sets of armor for your builders. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now. There are 5 different sets of armor, and each one of them will give one of your towers the fusion, which will just basically do double damage towards rifted enemies, which is very strong, right? So naturally you want that. The first tower is your ancient set. I don't actually have any because the Arcanist Crown basically replaces the ancient armor. Yeah, I don't have any of it on this account, but the ancient set, you will get your fusion on your first tower. The guard armor will fuse your second slot. The militia armor will fuse your third slot. The minor armor will fuse your fourth slot. And the primitive armor will fuse your fifth slot. Where to find these armors? So we're going to look at the map really quick here. I want to take a look at it in columns, up and down, and then rows left to right. So we'll take a look at columns and only be looking at the first 3 acts here. The rest is not important right now. So in the first column, we'll drop ancient gear. So you'll find the first tower will be here. The guard gear will drop in the second column. The militia gear will drop in the third column. The minor gear will drop in the fourth column. And the primitive gear will drop in the fifth column. So that's where you'll find all the different armors, but the specific pieces, so that's where we'll look into the rows, left to right. So in the first act, or first row, you'll find all of the gloves. In the second act, or the second row, you'll find all of the boots. In the third act, or the third row, you'll find all of the chest pieces. Now the helmets are a little different.
Not sure why they're different. But the Ancient Helm you can find anywhere in Act 2. The Guard Helmet you can find anywhere in Act 3. The Militia Helmet you can find anywhere between Act 1 and 2. The Miner Helmet you can find anywhere between Act 2 and 3. And the Primitive Helmet you can find in Act 1. Now it's a little bit weird, but I won't get into specifics, but that's where you know, that's what you need to know where to find all of your armors. We also want to talk about some of the pets in this game. And I say some, but I'm going to go over all of them. You can skip ahead if you're already familiar, but we've got a lot of good ones here, so we're just going to go ahead and open up again the map and check out where they all drop at. In the first map, you'll find the Hippogriff. Deeper Well drops Hippogriff. Ancient Mines will drop the Mistamine. Lava Mines will drop the Steam Robot. Alchemical Laboratory will drop the Propeller Cat. Magus Quarters will drop the Paddle Ball. Tornado Valley will drop the Little Wizard.
Tornado Highlands will also drop the Little Wizard. Ramparts will drop the Genie, as well as the Etherean Ancient.
Throne Room drops the Ramster Can. Endless Spires will drop the Monkey King. Arcane Library drops the Charging Ramster, and also I think this one drops a Little Bomber. Royal Gardens drops the Little Bomber as well as a Fairy.
Promenade will drop the Helping Hand and also a Baby Dragon. The Summit will drop a Baby Dragon and occasionally a Gemstone.
Glitterhelm drops a Mega Chicken. The Mill will drop a Raging Zeus and a Happy Hera. The same goes for Outpost, both the Raging Zeus and Happy Hera. The Keep will drop the Lichen Prince. Foundries and Forges will drop the Demi Demon Lord. The Bazaar will drop a Hamel. The Lost Metropolis literally won't give you anything, which is ridiculous. I'm surprised about that. And the Forsaken Temple will drop the Zephyr. We got Castle Armory will drop a Mini Ogre. Hilltide Village will drop a Penguin. And King's Game gives you a Dice Pet. Some of these stronger pets include like the Little Bomber, the Penguin, the Monkey King. I think that the Dice is a very strong one to have as well. Those are just a few examples of like some very strong DPS pets. Those are the most popular, I think. But there are plenty more out there. Make sure that you pick up some gemstones from the summit. These little guys, you get some strike-in that will boost range and all that good stuff. So those drop on summit. I forgot to mention earlier, but that's about it. There is one more, the Obsidian Gemstone. This doesn't come from summit. I think this is like an Act 2 drop. It's not very common. I've only seen it a few times. I think it's a challenge pet, but you can figure that out. So you probably noticed the runes tab up here in the corner. This is actually very important. The earlier runes don't provide very much, but the later level runes are very strong. So these are just amplifications to your towers or your hero. Some very important ones to look out for would be like Overdrive for the Eevee, or like a Lightning Tower one for the Apprentice. There are some very strong ones, but if you take a look at it and you see the rune in your section and you want this one, and it tells you the favored map is Magus Quarters.
So Magus Quarters is in Act 1, so really you can find this rune on any map in Act 1, but I think that the favored map just means that maybe there's a chance it will drop from the loot chest. And like that chance is very low, right? So if you don't like playing Magus Quarters or whatever map it is that is favored, you can play any one of those maps in that act, and it'll drop for you there. So that's important to know when you're looking for runes. There are some strong runes out there. I'm not going to go over them because there are so many, but definitely take a look through all of your heroes and see which ones that might help you out in the long run. I also want to go over like some of the substats that will drop on your armor and your weapons and your accessories. So I personally recommend having accessories that give you MP regen and move speed. These just allow HP regen is a very good one as well to be looking for. This just goes for the accessories. MP regen is your abilities, keeps your abilities up for the waves. And then move speed and HP regen is just nice. But the move speed I highly recommend. Just getting around the maps faster is always convenient. For the armor, you can get like extra power or extra defense rate, etc. But there are also some different ones like defense damage. This one is very, very important. If you can find this one, keep it because it's such a good substat. But there are some other ones out there like on upgrades. So, I mean, these are not bad if you can, manage upgrades, but they're not really worth it. Anyways, so that's pretty cool with the armor. Make sure you're looking out for like defense damage and hold on to those pieces because they might be better than some of your gear that says it's stronger, right? For the weapons, you can get sets like Rearmed for the Apprentice, for example, that give you extra hero damage or abilities, etc. You have to make sure that you are matching this with an offhand so that you get the ability. You can also roll some other substats on weapons, like, for example, more damage. Definitely look out for the blue ones, like percent damage, but there are some purple ones out there, like Strength Drain, chance to boost damage. These two are actually not great, but there's Piercing Slash, Aftershock is a very strong one, Sunder Armor and Double Edged are very strong ones. So keep an eye out for those. Those are rare rolls, of course, but they're a lot stronger than normal weapons. So if you can find them, definitely pick them up and take advantage against some of those bosses, kicking their butt with some strong weapons. I think that's about what I want to talk about for some of you mid-game players. There's not really much else to learn more than you have through the beginning. And just picking up a couple other things like some of the rare rolls you want to look out for. And all that good stuff, some runes that you want to check out. So we're going to move up to some more endgame stuff. Things that will help you push up past 100 if you feel like it, or up to 100, and all that cool stuff. So right now I'm gonna talk about where you can begin farming some godly items once you are trying to break into massacre mode. So most people, you go through and you'll play the first couple of levels on Massacre. Ideally, just beat Ancient Mines, okay? Then you come over to either Survival or Mixed Mode, and you play through Ancient Mines to a higher wave for levels and for godly items, because they'll start to drop once you hit Massacre, and if you toggle Hardcore, you'll have a higher chance. So I would say from this point on, keep Hardcore toggled. But again, if you're having a hard time, maybe switch it off for like the boss fights or something. But Hardcore is definitely something you want to keep toggled on for better loot.
now that you're in Massacre. Another good map that you can play for loot would be like Magus Quarters. This is a good one. It has good drops. I wouldn't say that like each map has their own rarities, more like which maps are easier to play and to clear. So I would say the Ancient Mines and Magus Quarters are a couple of good maps to start on. Another good one to play would be Royal Gardens. This drops the little bomber, as I mentioned earlier. This is a good map, very easy to play out. Another map that runs really quick is Foundries and Forges. So if you can make it down here through Act 4 and play this map on mixed mode or survival, you'll get some very fast clears and more faster loot that way, right? So that's a good map to play as well. Once you've got some decent loot and you're comfortable with killing the bosses, you will want to play mostly these 3 boss fights right here. These are where I am constantly looking for items. Runes drop in each of these acts, right? Good runes. They all have boss weapons, which are very important in Massacre. They all drop good pets, which is again important. And accessories. You'll get all of your accessories for your heroes here constantly. So this is very good. So knowing that, we're going to talk about the easiest way to kill each of these bosses. First, the Demon Lord. Second, the Goblin Mech. Third, the Ancient Dragon. Fourth, Lycan King. And lastly, the Dune Eater. So let's start up here at Alchemical Labs. So I've just made it to wave 25. We're going to go ahead and choose our hero that we want to play with for fighting the Demon Lord. Firstly, I want to show you Evie because she has a rune right here called Immobilizing Ray. And this one basically stops the Demon Lord from moving and gives you a free kill. So if you have damaging weapons for your Evie, definitely consider using an Evie here. But more commonly, I play a Squire for this fight, so that's what I'm going to show you guys right now. Here we are at the Demon Lord. So real quick, I just want to point this out. I like to put some Thunderspike traps right here at the base of where he spawns, just for some big damage right out the gate. The Thunderspikes are pretty good for this, especially if he can't move. But we're going to go ahead and activate our ability, and we're going to use our Spinning Slice as soon as the timer hits 0. And we should get big damage, like right out the gate. And then we can sit here and spam it, and he's dead already. Like, that was insane, right? Super fast, super easy. Granted, I do have endgame stuff, but you'll be just fine. That is a pretty easy fight. If he does get away from you, you can hit these 4 pillars to stun him every so often and get an easy demon kill. Alright guys, so I'm here on Throne Room and I'm going to show you the hero that's I think is considered best for killing the Goblin Mech, and I'm going to roll with the Guardian here. Now I do have a Strength Drain and a Healing Aura down here at the post by where he spawns. He always spawns on the blue carpet. If you don't have a Guardian that you're comfortable with that has enough health and won't die under a ton of goblin explosions, then that's fine. You can play like a Huntress and jump back and forth between the crystals to avoid his rockets. But I'm going to do this one with Guardian because I think it's the easiest kill, and I will show you guys that right now. Alright, so as I mentioned before, the Goblin Mech will always spawn towards the blue carpet, and he spawns like exactly at the end of the tip of the carpet right here. So if you play a Guardian and have stability on for your accessories, put your ability on, he's stuck on your head, and you can stand right here, you can't move. You're practically invincible, you can spam your abilities until he dies. And in my opinion, this is the absolute easiest way to fight this boss. There are other ways to do it, but I'm here to show you the easiest and fastest ways to do so. It's much faster if you have a team, but yeah, here you go. There it is, dude. No, that was so easy. I didn't even have to move. Yo, GG right there, baby.
Alright, yo, welcome to some of the summit. I'm gonna go ahead and play the Huntress for this boss fight. Just because the dragon flying around is a lot easier to shoot him down with the Huntress. I think that Rogue is a very strong choice for this fight as well, but I'm gonna go ahead and play Huntress for this one and show you guys how it's done. Here we are at the Ancient Dragon fight, dude. So I do have some endgame stuff, of course, so this fight will be a little bit easier for me than maybe some of you others. But I'm going to go ahead and activate this ability right here, and we're going to start shooting out at the post. Once the timer hits about 6 seconds, you can use your Phoenix shot. That should hit the dragon as soon as he spawns, and we'll get some free extra damage right out the gate. You can go ahead and run to the side that he's on. Get the harpoon, he's shot down, easy big damage. And just go ahead and snipe him with our Huntress. Make sure that you stand on the side that has the close crossbow in case he goes close, like so. We can get a free shot on him. Make sure our build doesn't fail, that would be embarrassing. Just stand up in the center and shoot him down. He's about dead already. Lead our shots a little bit, see if we can knock him out. There we go, baby. It's that easy. It's no problem. So that was the Ancient Dragon. Next we'll show you how to fight the Lycan King.
Alright, dude, so here I am on the keep. I just barely hit wave 25. You know, to fight the Lycan King, you don't really need to play a specific hero. Just don't play Summoner. Summoner cannot do damage to the boss. So you can play any hero you like. I'm just going to play Squire. And I'm going to show you guys how it's done here. There it is. Alright, so we're up here on the Lycan King, and you just need to break his first phase of like invisibility that he has at the beginning. You'll get a prompt to plant a bomb. You don't want to plant that bomb, you just run and like defend your crystals from ogres and stuff, and eventually he'll just like die. Don't know why it happens, but it does, and it works in survival and mixed mode. So it's the easiest way to kill him. See there, so if we just leave him alone, we can run around and check our map for ogres. We can go and kill him. And the Lycan King will handle himself. Eventually he'll just die. There it is, dude. He just falls over and dies. So that's the easiest way to do it. You can do this with any hero. Just don't use Summoner or you won't be able to do damage to him. But that's about it. We're going to move on to the Dune Eater.
Yo guys, so I've just made it to wave 25 of the Forsaken Temple. We're going to fight the Dune Eater now. And I'm going to recommend switching to the Rogue. I haven't talked about Rogue very much during this video, but he's very good for this fight. You can kind of cheese him a little bit and use your spin to win rune right here and kill him while he's under the lake. So I'm going to show you guys how it's done. Alright, dude, we made it. So we're going to be fighting up this Dune Eater. We got the Shrine on for more hero damage. My stats are all loaded into hero damage. So we're gonna chill right here, wait for him to spawn, and light him up with all our abilities. And we'll just go and stand in front of him and spin, and it'll be GG. Okay, so he goes underground. We can come stand right here. We want to wait till our 4 comes back, and then we'll spin. And it does damage, and we should be able to kill him before all the golems get to him and can heal him. So that's about it, dude. GG, that's it, bro. So if you guys are curious about like what kind of weapons and stuff I'm using for these boss fights, I do have like another video explaining how I've built each hero for DPS. You can go check that out, but I'm not going to go over any of the weapons and such. So let's move on to some other things, right? So I'm going to be getting into the last bit here, and first we're going to go over the Supreme gear that you can get. It's like incredibly rare and not really worth pursuing. It just kind of happens in the very end game. I spent a very long time like pursuing it, and dude, I just couldn't. It was awful. I was miserable. So just try not to worry so much about it. But it gives you a 3rd stat roll instead of the normal 2 from a godly piece, which is pretty cool. But once again, it's hard to find these, and let alone get one with like a good roll, right? So I would say that the fastest way to like look for them, if you're desperate, would be to play in mixed mode and do some of the fastest clearing maps on hardcore rifted, right? So that would be like Ancient Mines up here, maybe Magus Quarters, definitely Foundries and Forges, and then like Castle Armory. And then when you're looking for like weapons, of course, just good luck, dude, because that is not easy. But that basically sums up the Supreme gear. There's not much to it other than getting like a 3rd stat roll, and is really cool for like weapons because you can get, say, like 2 purple ones, right? With the Irradiate, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, that's about it, man. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is how to push to wave 100. You will be getting a golden transmog for every time you reach 100 on a certain map. So you'll be getting, you know, just the gold versions. They're just skins, so they're nothing like crazy. They don't provide anything. They're just a skin to flex. And when you hit all maps to wave 100, you will get the giraffe, if I can find it. There it is. Yeah, so we got a golden giraffe there because we beat every map. It's cool to show off, but again, it doesn't provide anything, so that's only if you want to. I wouldn't say that there is any like strategy in pushing each of these maps to 100. It's just going to take a long time regardless. So I'd say that the best way to go about pushing survival waves higher is to like protect your crystals, right? And it sounds kind of dumb, but using walls and mages to keep those walls alive, or like even archers that heal themselves with their rune to seal off any entrances to your crystal, I would say is the most effective way to go about doing it. Some of the best towers that you can consider using for these waves are definitely like the strength drains from the monk. The ensnares with the rune have a strength drain effect. And if you get very late game and like having trouble, I would consider using fused healing auras. They've kept me alive in my late game boss fights. Definitely the bulwark wall from the Guardian. This thing is so cool, dude. It's got like a radius around it, keeps your towers alive. Epic. Super cool. I mentioned the mages and the archers. Some great ones to be using. The reflect is like a given from Eevee, and then like the siren. If you check out the siren with the rune on, that's more popular, very common given to use.
Maybe even fuse it if you're using a lot of them. But another very incredible tower is the Owl Perch again. Lots of people are crushing it with this tower, especially if you got a Godly Rune and have cranked stats. This thing shreds ogres, man. Last couple would be like Harpoons from the Squire. Very good tower for shredding ogres. The Blossoms from Warden. I don't have her in my deck. Sledges are a very good one too. The Spider from Summoner. This guy will web enemies, slow them down, and make them take more damage. Very good. And last, the Huntress. I don't have her in deck, but her gas traps are good, and her explosives have a rune that makes them slow down, and I think it's a strength drain effect too, so just make sure that you're taking opportunity of all the strength drains, and make sure that those walls of yours will stay alive, because really that's what it's all about, is protecting your crystals, and if they can't get to them, how are they going to damage them, right? So I think that's about all I have to say for this video. Guys, I have put so much time into this game. I can't believe it, but I'm still having fun with it. And yeah, dude, it's been cool.
So thank you guys so much for being here and checking this out. And if you made it to the end here, you are a damn champion. I cannot believe it. I really appreciate it. If you did, let me know if there are some other tips that I might have missed through the game. You can put down in the comment section. I will be reading. But once again, thank you for being here, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.